SES stands for Socioeconomic Status. Socioeconomic status is often measured as a combination of education, income, and occupation. It is commonly conceptualized as the social standing or class of an individual or a group. When viewed through a social class lens, privilege, power, and control are emphasized. It encompasses not only income, but also educational attainment, financial security, and subjective perceptions of social status and social class. It is also relevant to all realms of behavior and social science, including research, practice, education, and advocacy. Children with low SES can have issues with cognitive development, language, memory, socio-emotional processing, and consequently poor income and health in adulthood. SES is estimated as a composite of income, education level, work experience, and the prestige or status of your job. Research shows that when schools move on from basics, it becomes more difficult for students in the lower SES status to master the lessons. This is due to the lack of resources at home from low SES families, which make it difficult for students to have extra help when learning new material. The literacy gap increases based on the SES, similar to the achievement gap. The exposure to low or higher vocabulary at home contributes to the child's vocabulary. Families in the higher SES spectrum tend to use higher vocabulary, which results in a child's literacy development to widen and allows them to understand higher literacy. On the other side of the spectrum, students in low SES families tend to have low literacy understanding due to the use of low vocabulary at home. A family with a low SES is a contributing factor to the achievement gap widening during the summer vacations due to their lack of resources in studying. Research states that a person with a higher SES has more resources available and are more likely to continue reading when on vacation. Students in the lower SES have difficulty getting these resources due to expense, which is why they come back from vacations with a lower level in literacy. It all starts with the student's development before they get to pre-K. Students from low SES families are at a disadvantage when starting school because they receive less parental supervision and interactions. Science achievement gaps begin before low SES children have even begun school. It is the result of lack of opportunities to learn about science in their homes. A study found that students starting school with little prior knowledge on science faced a bigger gap by the first grade. Language barriers can also lead to science achievement gaps, although these are normally reduced once the student is more proficient in English. Students struggling with other subjects such as math and reading can also experience achievement gaps. Students who are unable to attend class consistently and those with behavioral problems are also seen to have achievement gaps. Science interventions at an early age could help bridge the gap. However, interventions are currently more focused on math and reading. Low SES school segregation also plays a negative role on achievement gaps, with low quality education, inexperienced teachers, and underfunded programs. SES plays a role not only in traditional measurements of learning, but also in real-world development of fine and gross motor skills. Children from high SES families perform better than low SES students in fine motor performance. Children who do not develop fine motor skills at a regular pace are immediately placed at a significant disadvantage before they even step in a classroom. SES is correlated to motor skill development, which can contribute to larger achievement gaps later in school. There is research that states students of low SES families are significantly delayed in their motor skill development compared to their peers. Research shows that children of low SES lack fine and gross motor skill performance compared to middle-class peers. Girls typically perform better than boys in the 4 areas of motor skills: stationary, object manipulation, grasping, and visual motor skills. The level of impact of poverty on a child's development depends on different factors. These factors are how poverty takes place, income, how long the family has lived in poverty, community, social networks, and age of the child. How poverty takes place refers to what happened in the family that caused them to end up in poverty. Was there an accident or a death? Did the primary provider lose their job? What resulted in the family no longer having the means to provide? When we talk about income level, we want to know where the family's income level falls. Does the family qualify for assistance? Maybe they don't meet the requirements for assistance, but they still don't have enough income to make ends meet. The length of time the family experiences poverty is also a huge impact on child development. If the family has lived in middle to high SES for the majority of time and is now experiencing temporary poverty, there won't be as much of an impact. The children that lived in prolonged poverty are the ones that see the most significant long-term effects. The community in which the family lives also plays a major role. What are the conditions of the community that they live in? Is it a high SES community or a low SES community? If the family is experiencing temporary poverty, but they live in a medium to high SES community, then the effects of poverty have been found to be minimal. Social networks refers to family, friends, or any other type of support group. The age of the child when poverty takes place is also important. Generational poverty refers to a family living in poverty for at least 2 generations. In this case, child development is impacted by generational poverty because children don't have the same resources or experiences as students that live in higher SES. Children living in generational poverty are at higher risk of having behavioral problems, low achievement rates, and dropping out of school.